Thanks for tuning into this channel, but 80% of you are still unsubscribed. If you could just hit that button, it allows us to bring you loads more content and you'll be doing us a massive favour. We've come to that time of year and you want to know, how do we build through the winter months? For a lot of you now, you've probably raced and you've had some, hopefully you've had a bit of downtime just to let your mind refresh, because there's a lot of people, and I've been one of them many years ago when I was a junior. Nobody wants to be a winter warrior where you get peak performance in January.
Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon.
Ideally, we want to structure our training so over the coming weeks and months, then we're building form ultimately. Like here at Matt Bottrill Performance Coaching, then generally we like to develop, you're almost like looking at like 3 peaks within like a season. So ideally we want to start like the season strong, but we don't want to be flying. Like we want to be, over the coming months, we want to build like that form. Like I find that the first part of your structured training for the winter months is developing like strength and endurance. And that can come through time riding on the bike, but it also can come through doing some off-season work. Like if you're just like a pure cyclist, then definitely incorporating, you could do some running, we can do some strength work through like gym work itself. But another home skill that we want to develop is like, what weaknesses have you got around, whether it's your pacing strategies on the bike or it's the position that you've got on the bike? Because there's 2 factors. Power's nothing without control, and actually your body position is a key part of going through the air and getting fast, isn't it? Really, we've got the demands of like the training that we're gonna do. And that's going to build like fitness, but we've also got the skill of developing how we're gonna ride that bike. Or if it's like your triathlete, you might have weaknesses in the pool or the run. So you've got to look at that, this holistic approach of going, okay, well, these are my weaknesses. These are elements that I want to try and bring into my training realistically. And the first 3 months that's a key part to develop that. We're going to develop fitness, but we're also going to develop a skill, of how to utilize power and efficiency. Once you start to home in on that, then we can start to, we can push fitness on. But it's not, like if you're just going to do like intervals and you've got no skill of how you're delivering that interval, then there's almost like no point. But once we start getting into January, we're thinking about the season for some people is like March. If you're triathlete, you're going to generally start a bit later, probably like in May time. And over the weeks, we're just trying to develop this skill of riding and building form. And I generally find for like most people, if we looked at like training stress through the week, like if you've got training peak, like ideally if you're an age group athlete, you want to be building like 2 to 3 points a week. Yeah, just structuring the training in a certain way realistically. So, and that's going to be individually based, especially if you've got like a structured program. Like you've got like what we call like your power profile, and we're trying to look at how do we develop that. Because for a lot of you, ultimately what you're trying to do is, say if you do an FTP test and you can sustain that for 20 minutes, we want to try and push that threshold out more and more ultimately. And that's the skill of training really. But if you bank too much in the winter, then you can't really push it anymore, because you just max out. You'll max out on the training hours that you've got. So that's another key point. You don't really, if you've only, that you can only train like 8 hours, and generally for the first part of the training program, we probably only want to use like 6 to 7 of those. And then we can start to use like more time as we get into the season really. So again, we're just not going to break you. We're just going to get consistency in like the form that we're developing. So that's worth bringing into your training. If you need to know more again, drop us a line.